Hi there again, nerdy list aficionados. It's Punisher time, again. Last time we were together we looked at Frank Castle, and specifically the villains that scared him. So today we're gonna take another avenue. Today we're looking at superheroes that annoy the Punisher. We could cop out and say everybody, but we're not gonna do that. Frank is a grumpy guy, but he's not quite that grumpy. Sometimes. I mean, he kills a lot of people who annoy him in alternate timelines, events, or what ifs, but still, it still counts. I'm Sasha, and if you ever miss me, you can check me out over on Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Now, let's get annoyed. Number 10. Hawkeye, Clint Barton edition. There is more than one Hawkeye. Let's start off with a cute, let's call it cute moment between these two during the War Machine Punisher arc. We'll get into how he got that armor a little later. In Punisher Volume 1, number 224, we have Clint taking a shot at Castle mid-flight, which he of course makes. But well, Frank's not exactly happy about it, and he takes Clint's pizza as retaliation. Yes, you heard that right. I think that last part just really drives home how petty that whole incident was. Pure minor annoyance to start us off before we get serious, cause oh, it's gonna get serious. Number 9. Deadpool. The merc with a mouth could make his way onto many of these annoyance lists, and I'm sure he already has. As funny as he can be for audiences, working with him can be a bit of a chore for the heroes of the Marvel Universe, but particularly for Frank Castle. While both these characters can be considered anti-heroes, they operate on a very different set of morals, and the tones of their books are quite different, though more so as it has evolved. Early Deadpool does not bear too much resemblance to modern Deadpool. The foundations are there, but he has evolved over the years. These two have clashed on numerous occasions, usually in more comedic battles. Well, on Deadpool's end anyways. However, they really began to rub each other the wrong way when they ended up on the same team, this being in the 2013 series run of Thunderbolts. The two were added to a team assembled by General Ross, aka the Red Hulk, or Rulk. They were assigned to take on, well, assignments similar to those of X-Force, which was a change for this team. Here, Deadpool nursed some serious feelings for Elektra, and he became jealous of the connection she shared with Frank, which led to much whining and attempts at escalation on his part. Basically, the Punisher just wants Deadpool to leave him alone, but circumstances and mercenary contracts keep bringing the two back together. Number 8. Batman. You heard that right. Now before you get irate and proceed to be scandalized that the host apparently can't tell the difference between Marvel and DC, let me tell you about the 90s, a time when Marvel and DC actually crossed over a few times, even creating an amalgam universe that was comprised of their characters combined, fused together into one. It was preceded by a bunch of team-ups. I have a soft spot for the Jubilee and Robin team-up, that being the third Robin Tim Drake. You know it got romantic. Side note, there were a couple of team-ups in the early 2000s as well. JLA/Avengers anyone? Anyway, for this annoyance we're going back to 1994, and a comic called Punisher/Batman Deadly Nights. We're looking at this one and not the other team up because this one has Frank going up against Bruce Wayne, not Jean-Paul Valley, aka Azrael, who was Batman for a hot minute post Bane breaking Bruce's back. In this comic, the two team up to stop an alliance between Jigsaw and the Joker. However, Frank just couldn't get behind the Dark Knight's methods, and actually wound up finding himself disgusted by what he viewed as a codependent relationship between the Joker and Batman. Depending upon who you talk to, he's not wrong. Number 7. Archie Andrews. Oh, reaching again are we? No, Archie is a superhero actually. Sometimes. Let me explain. In the 90s, yes, the glorious 90s, there was an Archie comic called Archie and the Super Teens, and Archie was Pure Heart the Powerful, a hero who taps into his pH factor, his pure heart, which gives him super strength and resilience, but he can only use these powers so long as his heart is pure. So no dark feelings for him. These comics debuted in 1994, which was also the year that the Archie meets the Punisher comic debuted. So all I'm saying is that this could be the same universe. Headcanon powers activate. In this comic, Frank mistakes Archie for his target, but then the two need to team up to save a kidnapped Veronica Lodge. As you can imagine, teaming up with an awkward teen who isn't exactly the most helpful, pure heart or no, this was a bit of a harder assignment than most. Also, he flirts with Miss Grundy. Actual Miss Grundy, not criminally negligent, predatory hot Miss Grundy from Riverdale. Number 6. Captain America. This shouldn't really surprise anyone. When written correctly, these two are operating on pretty much the opposite sides of the moral spectrum. Cap does not approve of the Punisher's methods, and when given the opportunity is not shy about expressing it. multiple times, such as during the original Civil War comics run back in 2006. This was particularly hurtful to Frank because he actually admired Captain America, and in a way still does. Although he actually liked Hydra Cap, so I think that tells you all you need to know about that. The two have also had their alternate universe run-ins. Frank has killed Cap twice. One is a zombie Cap begging to be killed because of his actions though. The other time though is from the Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe one-shot released in 1995, wherein Frank is pushed to the edge by the killing of his family during a battle between Avengers, X-Men, and the Brood. He takes his anger out on the heroes he views as responsible for making it happen. One of those of course being Captain America. In this arc, Punisher feels that the heroes are derelict. It actually all leads to a rather heart-wrenching conclusion. It may sound like a gimmick, but this comic is worth a read. Also, these two have a team-up comic called Blood and Glory. Just thought you'd like to know, because that's a great title. Number 5. Venom. Now this may surprise some, because really as far as anti-heroes go, at times Venom can be pretty brutal. And in Venom's early days as a solo frontrunner, the two did team up, such as in Funeral Pyre back in 1993. I'm telling you, people make fun of 90s comics a lot, but some cool stuff happened. However, there's a bit more tension between them these days, particularly since Frank killed Anti-Venom at one point. Yep, Frank can be too intense even for Eddie Brock, who was struggling to keep Frank in check. The Punisher doesn't like people questioning his methods, especially when they turn out to be wrong. But don't worry, he got better. It's the comic verse, death is an inconvenience. You're just one wall punch away from being revived. Well, in the DC universe anyway. It may get even more convoluted in the Marvel universe, but hey, Tony Stark can just build you a new body. It'll be fine. Number 4. Iron Man. This was a more recent development post-Civil War II, the comic book event from 2016, which fans have a lot of feelings about. A lot of which can be summed up with a simple, but why though? Punisher found himself in possession of Rhodey's War Machine armor post his death, and was using it in ways that Tony didn't exactly approve of, and he wanted it back. Frank Castle was not on his side in this conflict, and wasn't thrilled with being told what to do by Tony Stark. In fact, it wasn't even him who got the armor back, but actually a newly resurrected James Rhodes, in a new body. Like I said, Tony Stark will build you a new body. He also had to get himself a new body post Civil War II as well. Number 3. Black Widow. Now this is yet another near philosophical conflict between these two, but they can also work well together. So let's take a look at an example with 2014's Madhouse film Avengers Confidential, Black Widow, and Punisher. The thing with the Punisher is he wants things done on his timeline, and organizations like S.H.I.E.L.D., sometimes they're running a longer game, letting people get away for bigger fish, etc. Frank's not about that life. However, Black Widow is actually quite good at following orders, and despite everything, she can be quite loyal, which means sometimes her unwillingness to deviate from her mission can put her directly in Frank's way, which, let's face it, is annoying, particularly when she is ready to fight to back it up. But they can also work well together if their goals align. Number 2. Spider-Man. Now the Punisher and Spider-Man have a pretty even-keel relationship in modern comics, as much as anyone can have with Frank, that is. But they did not have a good first meeting. The Punisher actually debuted in a Spider-Man comic, specifically The Amazing Spider-Man number 129 in 1974. Hired by the Jackal, the Punisher was out to kill Spidey, but actually turned into a very popular character, as despite everything, he was revealed to have a moral code, and people were curious about him and wanted to know more. Ultimately, Frank was initially used as a contrast to more liberal Marvel characters, of whom Spidey was one. But post their first meeting, the two would team up frequently, where their contrasting viewpoints and styles would come into conflict. Side note, he's killed Spidey a bunch of times in events and alternate timelines. Poor Peter. However, he hasn't come into conflict with him anywhere near as much as our number 1. There's a fine line between grudging respect and outright annoyance, and number 1 is straddling that perfectly. I'm pretty sure you can guess who it is. It's the Daredevil. In some ways, Matt Murdock is Frank Castle's perfect foil. Their mere existence and methods challenge the other, and they have completely given their lives over to their ideals. And yet, they can both kind of see where the other is coming from. Lots of the Punisher's annoyance stems from the fact that he feels that the Daredevil would be more effective if he was more ruthless, and the fact that he believes that he has faith in an inherently flawed system. But more than that, Matt makes him question himself by showing another path that is not wholly unsuccessful, one of mercy. Depending on the conflict, the Daredevil can end up making Frank look like a monster. This was very poignantly displayed in the aforementioned Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe, when, spoilers for a comic from 1995, Punisher kills the Daredevil, unmasking him to reveal his friend and ally Matt Murdock. It's the final straw for him, and ultimately, he kills himself. That's right, ending it off full dark. only darkness. So those were the top 10 heroes who annoy the Punisher. Do you feel his annoyance is justified? Are you a Punisher fan in general? Share all your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, check out some other lists, and we will see you back here when we can, here on Top 10 Nerd. Thank you so much for watching, and you know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, check out some other lists, and we will see you back here when we can, here on Top 10 Nerd. Bye bye.